Hello and welcome back to Race Recap. My name is Jackson. Last weekend we had the ARCA Series racing on their second and final super speedway at Talladega. Now before we get into the race recap, I want to give a little bit of breaking news, two breaking news actually. One, it happens every day on this year. Today would have been the 71st birthday for Dale Earnhardt Sr. And now our second breaking news is a pretty big breaking news actually. Daniel Dye, the 43 car, who's leading the ARCA Championship, of course it's still early on in the season so that could have changed. He was actually arrested after the Talladega race, so this has already happened, and he was arrested on felony assault charges, and ARCA said he's been suspended indefinitely from the series. I'll still wait to see if he's on the next entry list in Kansas in a few weeks, but it's looking like Daniel Dye is going to be out of the 43 car for the remainder of the season, and I will keep you up to date on that right here. Now, the race recap: 76 laps at Talladega. The first caution brought out early on when the 01 of Tim Monroe had a right rear tire go flat, and he spun out in the turn, and that actually did end his day after some damage was picked up. And then the second caution was on that restart when the 07 of Brian Colreader had an engine explode. And then the third caution was on that restart when the Wayne Peterson car, driven by A.J. Moyer, it was on the restart, didn't even make it to the line. I guess the car stacked up in front of him and he got on the brakes hard, maybe wheel hopped a little bit. Either way, he spun it down through the infield grass and the caution came out. And then the fourth caution was a competition caution. The fifth caution was a huge accident. It was the big one, a red flag. It all started in the middle of the trial when the 25 of Tony Bringer let off the gas, and that's one of the rules at a super speedway. You can't let off the gas. And when she did that, she was hit from behind by the 10 of Richard Garvey. Bringer went up the track, made some contact with the wall, clipped the 03 of Brayton Laster, who then came back down the track and hit right front to right front with the 10 of Richard Garvey, and Garvey used Laster's car like a ramp. He flew off of it when he hit him in the right front, all four tires off the ground. Luckily, it didn't bite back and he didn't flip over any, but it got very close actually to flipping over. He was okay though, but there was an injury in this crash actually when the 7 of Eric Caudill had some contact on pit road with the 27 of Tim Richmond. Richmond spun down pit road, was able to keep it off the wall there on pit road. But when Eric Caudill shot back up the track through the tri-oval, he was hit in the side hard by the 69 of Scott Melton, and Scott Melton actually had to be extracted from the car by the officials there and the safety crew. They cut the top of his car off, kind of like what happened to Eric Almirola at Kansas a few years ago. Melton was then transported to the local hospital. He had a leg surgery, but is expected to be okay. So glad to hear that. And then actually during this red flag, Thomas Prater, who was in the 9 car, was feeling sick with flu symptoms, and Sean Core, who was in the 8, out of the race with problems under the hood, was called to come race the 9 car in place of Thomas Prater, since his 8 car had mechanical failures and was not going to get back out on track. So then the 6 caution was brought out for Sean Core in the 9 car, not the 8, he was in the 9 now, when he had a tire go down, littering the debris all down the back straightaway. And then during this caution, there was about 14 laps to go when they were going to get the restart, and the ARCA officials radioed the drivers and crews and told them that if there is a wreck, which brought out a caution flag in these last laps, the race would end there because they didn't want the Xfinity race to go long and be called due to darkness. They scheduled them pretty close together, so that's why they did that. And lo and behold, there was a 7th caution with about 10 laps to go when the 43 of Daniel Dye was controlling the outside lane, getting pushed by the 23 Brett Holmes, and then Holmes shot out with a couple guys to try to force Dye in the middle of the pack and shuffle him back. He tried to make a move to the inside to block Corey Heim before getting in the middle, but he was not clear of the 20, and he spun down the track. Not sure why the caution came out. He was out of harm's way, kept it out of the wall. But it did come out, and the race was frozen there at the time of caution, and the leader was the 2 of Nick Sanchez, which means he won the race. And of course, Sanchez was happy with this call, and a couple guys like Corey Heim were not too happy about the scheduling of how close they were to each other. And in my opinion, I probably would have liked to see the race go to the checkered flag at least, not end, because of darkness, for a race that happened after this one. So the top 10 here were Nick Sanchez, Brett Holmes, Corey Heim, Thad Moffitt, who had a good run in the 44 car, Gus Dean, Drew Dollar, Ryan Huff, Parker Chase, Max Gutierrez, and Greg Van Ost in the 35 rounded out top 10. DNF's in this race, Tony Brininger was out for the accident, along with Richard Garvey, Brayton Laster, Eric Caudell, and Scott Melton. Sean Corr, I mentioned, had problems in the engine. Brian Coltreader also with engine problems. And Tim Monroe had problems in the rear end of the car, most likely from that early spin. Well, that's all for race recap. Come join us in about 3 weeks when the ARCA series goes to one of the most dangerous intermediate tracks. That's Kansas Speedway.